Hey, brand builder, Rory Vaden here. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this interview. As always, it's our honor to provide it to you for free. And wanted to let you know there's no big sales pitch or anything coming at the end. However, if you are someone who is looking to build and monetize your personal brand, we would love to talk to you and get to know you a little bit and hear about some of your dreams and visions and share with you a little bit about what we're up to see if we might be a fit. So if you're interested in a free strategy call with someone from our team, we would love to hear from you. You can do that at brandbuildersgroup.com/podcall, brandbuildersgroup.com/podcall. We hope to talk to you soon. So Chalene is one of my newer friends, and I love this woman, and I love her husband, and I love that they work together. And of everybody in this whole space, I feel like in many ways, me and AJ, like their relationship and dynamic is really similar to me and AJ. We're partners. We're best friends. We both work in the business, and I mean, I don't even know where to start to describe Chalene. She's a New York Times bestselling author. She's in the Guinness Book of World Records for being in the most fitness videos. She's sold millions of videos, have millions of followers. Her and Brett have sold multiple companies. They know everybody, and she has a huge online following, and she's just awesome. And I think you're gonna get to see that. But she's also very versatile. I think, so she just had a new book come out called The 131 Method. She had a New York Times bestseller called Push. She has a conference actually that I spoke at, which is how the first time we met was I spoke at her event for Marketing Impact Academy. And so anyways, I think you're gonna love her. And Chalene, thanks for making some time for us. We're so honored that you're here.
Heck yeah, I wouldn't miss it. And I love the topic, so I'm excited.
Yeah, so first of all, foundational question, Brand Builders Group is about reputation. That's, what we say, we study reputation. Where does it come from? How do you build one? What makes them fall apart? And just, to start off the conversation, what do you, when you hear the word reputation, what does that make you think? What are your philosophies about how you've built one? And, just kind of free flow on that concept a little bit.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things. When I think about reputation, I think about integrity. I think about the things that I look for in terms of a reputation. So I think there's always like kind of a public reputation that a lot of people have. And then there are, because we're so savvy and because of social media, you can dig deeper. And you can actually, look at our political candidates. You can dig deeper and figure out if a person's, if what they're putting out there is legitimately who they are. So your reputation, the way I view it, is how do people know you? Like, what are you good for? If somebody's looking for a particular solution to a problem, who's the person they're thinking of first? And that's the person usually has got the best reputation and or top of mind, right? So reputation is also how well known are you? Because there may be someone who's better at solving this problem, but people don't know that person, so they don't have quite the reputation. For me personally, when I think about my reputation, I'm always thinking about integrity.
Mm-hmm. I love that, and that's probably one of the big epiphanies for us, was realizing that reputation is not just being great at, it's being great at what you do, it's having integrity, but it's also having people know you. Because if they don't know you, they can't do business with you. And you have a lot of people who know you. You've done so much stuff. You've like infomercials, you have millions of social media followers, like your podcast has had like north of 20 million downloads. What do you think you do that makes so many people want to connect with you and to know you, and not just like hear about you, but engage with you for the long term? And then, how does someone else build that?
Well, it's a two-part answer, I think. When you said so many people, how do you get so many people? That's time. And I wish there were a shortcut to that. It's time in doing the right things along the journey. But I am today who I was for the most part, 20 years ago, but I didn't have a lot of people looking at me because time, right? So it does take time, takes persistence, takes consistency. It takes, being good for it. Again, when people show, like, every single time they know what to expect. And then aside from that, it's realizing that the more you try to be like somebody else in your industry, the less unique you'll be. For me, I think it's really important that you look at people who are successful, who maybe there's something about their identity or their brand that you relate to, but I don't think that should be somebody in your industry. I think that's when you get, so a great example of this is, for me, when I got to a place in my career where I was trying to be known for like 20 different things. I really desperately wanted to create workshops for women to learn how to start their own small businesses from home and be able to stay home with their kids. And I was a new mom. My son was like 2 years old, and I was trying to hold events in hotels because that's what I saw, like, other business leaders doing, but I wasn't known for that. And no one was showing up, and I was spending a fortune. This is kind of even before social media. I was spending a fortune trying to promote these through direct mailers and advertising and, you name it, other than social media. And it wasn't working for me. And I realized, okay, there's all these different things I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do fitness, and I'm trying to be a paralegal, and I'm trying to write an ebook, and I'm trying to start a personal training franchise business. And I want to teach, these seminars to women. And I also want to create workouts for health clubs. And at a certain point, I realized, like, I just have to focus on one. I need to be known for one of these things. And I didn't pick the one that I was the most passionate about.
Interesting.
I picked the one I know. And so I don't know. I think that advice kind of varies based on your situation. But for me, we were broke. And so I needed to go with the one that provided me the quickest opportunity to be known. And at that moment, it was fitness. And so I decided I wasn't going to get rid of everything, but I was going to scooch it to the side of my plate for a little while until I could be known for fitness. And once I was known for fitness, then I felt I had permission and the eyeballs. I had the ability to a platform to reach other people with these other things I wanted to do. One at a time, by the way, too. You can't do them all at once. That's another lesson we can learn the hard way. But, once I started realizing, okay, I'm going to do fitness full time. What I did wrong, Rory, is I bought every exercise person's videos you could think of and studied them, and was not myself. I was trying to be them. It's like, okay, so this is what it looks like to be successful in this industry. So that's how I need to be. And that just wasn't working. And so my suggestion is to really look outside of your industry at personalities or brands that you relate to.
And what was your big, cause you heard me talk about Sheehan's Wall at the event and like focusing and breakthrough. And you'd be someone that I think of as a great example of that. Like, you broke through in the fitness space, and then, since you have, there's motivational speaking you do teach women now, and other, not just women, but people how to run their own business, Marketing Impact Academy. And, that course in terms of like what you teach is incredible. Like, I'm still working my way through it, but it was so powerful that I was like, this is incredible. And I do want to talk about some of your social media strategy, but when did you feel like you actually broke through?
Yeah, that's a really good question. For me, the way I would define that is it's able to kind of sustain itself, meaning I'm making some money from it. I have a certain amount of notoriety, and not that you can ever set it and forget it on any part of your business, but it's to a place where it's not losing money. It's making money. It's making decent money. I have systems and strategies in place, so I don't have to be in it every day. And that's when we started expanding. So we first started in health, just serving health clubs and fitness instructors. And then once I felt like, okay, we've got a system in place. We've got trainers in other states. We have programs in hundreds of thousands of instructors now, or 60,000 instructors at the time. We're teaching this particular program before we branched off and decided, okay, now let's dabble in fitness apparel, which was, kind of an offshoot of a branch. And then, but we didn't feel like we had the ability to do that until we were known for producing really great fitness content to the fitness community, not consumers.
How did you do that?
Later.
So how did you, let's say, because I know we have some clients and brand builders, and we have, lots of people that are probably watching who are kind of in that fitness space, and they're like, maybe they have a few thousand followers on Instagram or something, and they're going, how do I turn this into money?
Yeah.
Because it's a long way from going, okay, I have some people following me and I'm like sharing fitness tips, to I'm doing infomercials, I'm launching programs, I have an apparel line, I've got 60,000 trainers. So can you just high level overview what that bit looked like?
I can, but with a big asterisk next to it, because I think it's really important for people to realize when you're looking at success, right? Success leaves tracks, but if those tracks are 20 years old, they're not going to do you any good. What we did, let's see, we started that company in 1990, I think officially 1998, maybe 99. And what we did back then is, it's almost 20 years ago. It's completely different from what I would tell people to do today. But yet I still see people studying the success of someone from 10, even 15 years ago, and it's outdated. It's not going to serve you. Today, even starting a podcast, today I always tell people, if you're looking at so-and-so and they've got all this notoriety because they're a podcaster, well, they started their podcast 8 years ago. So you've got to look at what do I need to do today? And if I were a fitness person today, I'd be so excited because it's so much easier. It's so much easier. You don't have to have an infomercial. You can create your own. You don't have to, as we did at the time, social media wasn't even a thing. MySpace, I don't even know what year MySpace came out, but many years after we started our business. So it was traveling. It was going to locations. It was finding the right kind of people and then placing them in different states and hiring people based on their reputation, not their bodies, not their knowledge of fitness, but their reputation. Mm-hmm. And, so I think that's still pretty true. Who you surround yourself with is a representation of your brand. It's a reflection of your brand. So that's what we did back in the day. But today, I would say for anyone who's watching, who's in fitness, the things that remain true are to be consistent, to be 1000% you, not to look at what the worst thing you can do is look at what everyone else in your industry is doing, because it will confuse you and it will water down your unique message. Look outside of your industry, and that's how you can become a disruptor. That's how you can do things that feel unique. Not to mention the fact that it's always depressing, I think, and discouraging to always be watching your competition. Then you're always going to be doing a comparison. But if you're looking at somebody who is someone that you like, but they're not in your industry, there's no envy, there's just admiration.
I love that. So let's talk about the social media for a second. And the two things, I'm just amazed, your engagement and your realness is I assume they go hand in hand, but the two things systematically I'm wondering about, number one is your budget, and two is your schedule, because you produce so much content.
Yeah.
And you can pick which order you talk about them in, but it's
sure.
How much money do you allocate towards creating content, promoting content, etc.? So that's the budget. And then the schedule piece of it, of just how do you go, okay, you have over 1 million on Facebook. I think you have over 500,000 on Instagram. You got 6 figures on Twitter. And how do you keep up with all of this? And I know you have a team, but at the strategy level, What
Yeah.
do you do?
Well, so the most important piece probably is to understand that we have a lot of social media that doesn't have my name attached to it that we manage. So on Instagram, we currently manage about 2 million
Hmm.
um, uh, in terms of like my account and then other accounts that we own that relate to something that we promote, but they may not be, it may not be a reflection of me. For example, I call these things, and this is something anyone can do, and you can start without a budget, right? So let's assume that most people watching don't have a social media budget, but what they do have is a budget of time. And
Yeah.
one of the fastest, quickest ways to build an account today, again, if you look at what I did when I started on Instagram, that will not serve you because everything's different. And what we're looking for on Instagram and how much time we have, everything's different. The quickest and fastest way to grow an account today is to create an account that is themed, or what I like to call a feature account. So an example of this would be home workouts underscore the number 4, the letter U. Home workouts underscore 4U. That's an account that we own. I think it's like 400,000 followers.
Wow.
And all that we do there is repost other people's content. So if somebody posts up a carousel video showing like 5 different exercise ideas that you could do at home, we repost it. So anyone who's looking for, creative ways to get fit at home will follow that account. They don't know it has anything to do with me or that my team manage it per se. It's just content that serves them. It's the kind of stuff that they're looking for. So now why would we do that? Well, number one, people are less likely today to follow an individual personal brand on Instagram because we don't have time. I'm following my sister and I haven't even seen her posts in like 2 weeks. There's so many people that we really know and we really like, but we don't even see their stuff because frankly, I hate to say this, but it's just not that interesting. It's interesting, but it doesn't serve us. And we're looking for things on Instagram, on Facebook, on Pinterest that serve us. Either they entertain us, motivate us, educate us, inspire us. And if it's not one of those things, we don't look at it. And the algorithm is determined by your activity on the app. So if you look at your Explore page, you're going to see it's going to be very obvious what your interests are, sometimes embarrassingly obvious what your interests are. But so we grow and spend a lot of time. We spend a lot more time growing those other accounts than we do my personal account. So let me give you an example. So Rory, if I were let's say a therapist, I'm someone who does, normal talk therapy. It's going to be next to impossible for you to grow a personal brand on Instagram. Next to impossible. Because how does that serve anyone, right? Like it's a person. We just don't do that as much anymore. It happens, but not as much. However, if someone who's looking for an online therapist is like, they're dealing with things. And maybe you specialize with people who deal with post-traumatic stress or anxiety and depression. Well, then I would start an account that's got really relatable, either funny videos or memes or like really moving posts, the kind of posts that go viral. And I would repost those so that this whole page would be devoted to either uplifting or, the types of posts that are very enlightening, the types of posts that someone who's dealing with anxiety and depression or post-traumatic stress, they're going to see these posts and go like, that's what I needed today. And I would grow one of those accounts. Now, your next question might be, well, then how does that therefore then build your own brand? Well, what it allows you to do is you control, you own that media outlet. You own it, which means you can do stories. And it's in the stories where we go deep. It's in the stories where we want to know like, okay, well, who's behind this? At the moment, and this will all change a year from now, but at the moment, your profile or your page where you're posting, let's say again on Instagram, is, it's a little bit curated. It looks nice. There's some thought process to it. Some people, it's really curated. But when you want to know who someone really freaking is, you watch their stories. So when someone's like curious, like who's behind this page, that's when they'll watch their stories. That's when they'll look at your story highlights. And that's where you have the opportunity to promote an opt-in, to build your email list, to promote a webinar, to promote a free resource, to promote your business, whatever it is. So think about, for everyone watching, if you're trying to continue building your own personal account. Go as I do. Continue building your own personal account, but start another Instagram account of which you can almost outsource all of it. And think about, okay, the person who I'm trying to reach, what are they looking for? Like, what's serving them today on Instagram, and repost that type of content, and it'll grow so fast. We had 2 accounts in the last 6 months that we took from 0 to 10,000 with this exact strategy.
Wow. So talk to me about the outsourcing part, because that's kind of the overwhelming part, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I don't even have time to keep up with Instagram, and just the schedule in general. Like, how frequently should you go live? How frequently should you do a story? How frequently should you post on your feed? And like, you know, 4 different accounts, like, ugh.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's going to be useful to your audience, because most people don't have 4 or 5 different accounts. So even our calendar and our schedule is like it would overwhelm you. But please know this, it didn't happen overnight. It started with one part-time, temporary person when we didn't have the money to hire anyone, but we couldn't afford not to have help. You know, people always say, I can't outsource because I can't afford to. And I always say, you can't afford to because you haven't had faith in others. Like, when you have faith in others, you have to believe that when you invest and empower other people, that's what allows you to grow. Right now, that the ceiling is directly above your head. And I get it, because I was there for, I don't know how many years. I just refused. I felt like it was lazy of me. If I could do it myself, why would I outsource someone to do that? I felt like it would take more time for me to explain it to somebody else. A. B. We can't afford, we're not making any money. How could I hire someone to help us when we're not making any money? But we will when we're making money. But at a certain point, I just realized I've got so much stress, and we ain't gonna make money until I hire someone and have the faith. I have to have the faith in God and the faith in someone else that this is what we need. And that's why I say part-time, temporary. So I think the place that you start is by giving yourself permission to give this a temporary try. Look for someone just part-time, just to help you with social media, and create a long list of all the things they can do, and understand that even if you hire like the best person on the planet, they're going to be able to do half of it.
Mm-hmm. You still there, Chalene?
Because of the tens of thousands of entrepreneurs that I've worked with, the ones who come back year after year to our live event, the Marketing Impact Academy, and still have a brilliant idea, still have everything they need, but they're still broke, are the people who can't accept that mindset. And the ones that come back and are like, dude, we made our first $1 million this year. It is crazy. And I'm actually living a life. And those are the people who, while they were broke, because that's when you need it, made their first hire. So it's mindset when it comes to outsourcing. You know, so I could go into detail about our calendar, but I think that would overwhelm people, and I also don't think that's the right step. I'm a big believer in not giving people steps that aren't useful to them in this season. And I think most people watching the season that you're in is either making your first hire, you're outsourcing, or doing additional outsourcing, going to the next level. Like, now maybe you need a strategist or someone who's really good at web development or marketing or copywriting. Like, who is your next hire? If you've already wrapped your head around that mindset, who is it you need next to take you to the next level without it diminishing your life? Like, I'm all about, like, you know, it's not about money for me. It's about life. I don't want to work hard. I want to do what I love and live more. And that means I've got to empower people.
Yeah, that is so true. And that, I think our lives changed the day AJ said this out loud one time. I don't remember when it was, but she was like, I don't need more money. I just need more time. And like, when we just embraced where it's like, we just want less stress. We want less complexity. We want, and it's just like, but we want to still impact people and do all these dreams. And it's like, you always have to have that faith first. And then the reward for taking that risk is that you grow like just enough and a little bit more to cover that person. And then you take another risk and you grow just enough and a little bit more. And then one day you look around and go like, I actually have a team, and we have a real business here that operates and makes real money.
But for those people who are looking for a specific strategy for Instagram, like how often to post, how often to go to stories, how often to do IGTV, how often to go live, because it's a beast. Like, let's talk about it. Instagram has turned it into oh, look, she only has one earring on. Look at that. I wonder where the other one is.
I didn't even notice it.
You know what? We should put it on this year, because this year is hidden. Stand by, everybody. We have a fashion faux pas. All of that, like, Instagram has become a beast in a good way, but it can be really, really, really overwhelming for people. But the potential there is amazing. So my team, I've got a team, right? Like, I can't say that I do all this. I've got an amazing team. And every quarter they release all of the research that we do about Instagram, because it changes that often. Mm-hmm. And we release a free report. It's called IG Hacks, or it's our free report that we do once a quarter. You can go to Chalene.com/IG Hacks, and it's a free download.
It's awesome. Just like, I was going through it about like how much the carousels matter and things like that. And I was like, gosh, I had carousels weren't even on my freaking radar. And I think there was something in there that was like, the only comments that count have to have at least 3 characters or more. Like, there was all this stuff in there that I saw that I was like, oh my gosh, this is so helpful. Yeah. So we'll put a link.
And little simple things like how often to post, just by putting one little sentence in your caption turns the engagement, boost it by 70 to 80%. And even how to use IGTV, that's it's not a new feature, but how the latest release from Instagram, where they allow a snapshot of that to show on your profile, like, that's a game changer. And how to do that, like how to tweak the caption instead of titling the video, using that to ask a question so you get engagement. Like, little things like that make a huge difference.
Yeah, that is awesome. So ChaleneJohnson.com/IG Hacks, right? That's where we go for the report. Okay. Yep. Is that where people should go to connect with you, or is there anywhere else additionally?
Go to Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, go to Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, because I'm obviously not going to have a real life conversation from my website. But if you send me a DM on Instagram, there's a pretty good chance I'll see it. So, and I outsource all of my other accounts. So, we've got a bunch of different, as I call them, themed accounts on Instagram, and they're all handled by a team of amazing social media experts here at Team Johnson. But my personal account I handle, and it's really important to me, because that's how I connect with the girl I'm serving, the guy I'm serving. Like that, I get their feedback. I understand their language. If you look at those conversations, that's when people will tell you what program they want next for you. They will tell you about your reputation. They will tell you about your brand. They will tell you what people think about you. And I can't think of anything that's more, it's priceless. You don't have to pay for a focus group. 15, 20 years ago, we would have had to pay for a focus group and send out surveys. Now just do a survey on Instagram. You'll have your information 5 minutes later.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And so here's the last thing I want for you to talk about, because I think it's easy for someone to look at you and be like, oh, you have this great family and all these followers and look at this. But there was a real life time where you and Brett almost didn't make it as entrepreneurs. And I remember hearing some of those stories that you guys have been through you've been through some tough times, and you've been through some back up against the wall times. And I'm always, whenever I do this, I'm always thinking about the person that, is listening to this, because this is free. And maybe that's like, this is the last thing they're listening to before they just like throw it in and throw the towel in and wind it down. if somebody is in that place right now where they're feeling that discouragement or despair or feeling like, I don't know that I have what it takes. Can you just talk a little bit quickly about, how have you been through some of that, and what did you learn? Kind of what would you say to that person?
That's a really good question, because I always fear that somebody does need to throw in the towel on an idea that isn't working, and it's really clear to everyone else, and they just don't want to be a quitter. You know what I mean? Like, I worry about that person a little bit. So I'm not of the mindset that you never quit, but make an informed decision, right? Like, if you know you have what it takes, or your idea has what it takes, and it's just a matter of time or the right people or the right knowledge or the right resources, well, then don't give up. But seek wise counsel. I mean, the two things that have helped our business the most are investing in coaching, people who will tell it to you like it is. I'm paying you to help me be better in business, better in therapy, whatever, better as a person, better as a parent, whatever it is I'm paying. When I'm paying somebody and they have a vested interest to help me do better, I know I'm going to get really good advice, and probably honest advice that your friends and family members may not be qualified to give you. I would say coaching. And then number two, so I guess these both relate to people, and that is hiring, and again, one temporary part-time person at a time. And sometimes that first person doesn't work out, keep going. Pick the thing that's taking up the most time, that really doesn't need you as much as, because I know you think everything has to be you. Rory, when Brett and I were at our very lowest, we were $460,000 in debt.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Tell me about it. And that's how I discovered it. Like, I literally stuck my head in the sand when it came to our finances. We were really disconnected. You handle all that. I'll handle all this. I'll make the money. You manage the money. And I knew that we were struggling. But then when I wasn't getting the answers I needed, I started doing some investigating and, knocked the wind out of my sails to find out my husband had really serious gambling addiction and needed treatment. And we were looking at bankruptcy. I went and met with a couple of experts. They're like, you need to file for bankruptcy. And then we have to figure out how to take out some personal loans to pay back some of these characters. And we just decided together. I mean, I'm really giving you like the shortcut version, but it was ugly and nasty. And there were times where I'm like, okay, well, if he doesn't do this, I'm gone. Like, literally, even with two small children, when I say integrity, this is what I mean by that. I don't worry about anything because I know what I'll do. I don't know what's going to happen, but no matter what does happen, I know who I am, and therefore I know what I will do. I don't have to worry about what everyone else is going to do or how they're going to react, because no matter what happens, I know who I am. And in that moment, I had to remember that it could go a lot of different ways. And I just had to go like, okay, if it goes this way, I go here. If this happens, I'll do this. And they're all consistent with who I am and who we are as a couple. Long story short, it ended up being the greatest blessing to our marriage, because then my husband got into therapy. I got into therapy. I finally knew who my husband was. And, we could have thrown in the towel then. We could have both gone back to our full-time jobs. But I was positive we could make it work if we could get on the same page. So I would say if you really know in your heart of hearts that you can make this work, if you just have the right people, resources, or skills, then go get those things. But don't be afraid to invest in wise counsel, because, I've had great ideas. I've had businesses that were kind of making it and have hired coaches who are like, all right, this has to go. I know you love this, Chalene, but it has to go. And then when they lay it out, like, here's how much stress it's causing you. Here's how much money it's not making you. Here's the potential even if it were to work. And then when you look at it in black and white, you're like, you're right. It has to go. And sometimes the people closest to you either don't want to be honest, don't want to dim your light, don't want to hurt your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But in the long run, if you're able to separate yourself, like it's not a reflection on you. It doesn't mean you're not a good person. It doesn't mean you don't work. It means this idea isn't consistent with the life that you want.
I love that. I think that's so powerful to be able to separate your ideas from your identity and to just, manage ideas on their own merit. And, meanwhile, know that your identity is rooted in integrity and you'll make it. And if you really know that, I mean, that speaks to me. It's just like, go get the people. Like if go get the teams, do the ads, do the videos, like hire the copywriters, like get the coaches, because it's all faith. So, well, thank you for sharing that story. I know that's an intimate story of a time long ago that was a very, very real challenge though. And thank you for your inspiration and for making time here, Chalene. I know it's really, really hard to catch you these days, and we appreciate you so, so much.
No, I'm excited. It was great to be here.
You are awesome, and AJ and I, appreciate you and Brett and your encouragement and support of us so much, and we wish you the best.
Well, Rory, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for serving so many people in my community. I hear such amazing things about you and your team and how much you guys really care and the personal touch. And, we're in an age where most people, myself included, the way that we work with people is through online courses. People kind of go through that themselves, but you guys have something really special. It's really unique what you guys do. And I think it's part of why your reputation precedes you. Like you are the guy when it comes to personal branding, and we sure do appreciate what you guys do over there.
Thank you so much.